Stephanie White names Fever's #1 priority, and it has nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. WNBA Coach of the Year candidate explains her bold offseason focus. Stephanie White's first full season back as head coach of the Indiana Fever turned out to be one of the most impressive stories in the WNBA this year. Despite losing star rookie Caitlin Clark to a season-ending groin injury and being without key contributors like Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, Ari McDonald, and Chloe Bibby, White guided her team to a stunning playoff run. The Fever reached the semifinals and pushed the Las Vegas Aces to a seventh game that ended in a heartbreaking overtime loss. For a team that started the season surrounded by questions, the Fever finished with answers. White proved she could maximize her roster and build chemistry no matter who was available. Now, as the offseason begins, she has made one thing crystal clear about what comes next. We want to continue to build around Kelsey Mitchell. She is absolutely the #1 priority. Stephanie White. That single quote set off a wave of discussion among Fever fans. Some wondered if the focus on Mitchell meant the team was taking attention away from Clark, while others saw it as a smart and necessary move. The truth lies in the numbers. Clark and Aaliyah Boston remain under rookie contracts, which means the team's most immediate concern is keeping its all-star guard from testing the open market. Kelsey Mitchell was the backbone of the Fever's success. She led the team in scoring, appeared in every regular season and postseason game, and finished among the top 5 in MVP voting according to ESPN. She also carried one of the league's heaviest workloads and remained consistent through every lineup change and injury setback. Kelsey Mitchell is the heartbeat of the Indiana Fever. For White and general manager Amber Cox, retaining Mitchell is more than a roster move. It is about maintaining identity and momentum. The priority will be Kelsey Mitchell and making sure she remains in a Fever jersey, Cox told Sports Illustrated. Mitchell's leadership and scoring ability make her the perfect bridge between the Fever's young core and their championship ambitions. Her presence allows Clark to develop naturally while keeping Indiana competitive in the short term. Losing her would undo much of the progress the Fever made this season. The priority will be Kelsey Mitchell and making sure she remains in a Fever jersey. Amber Cox. White's message is both strategic and symbolic. The Fever want to win now, not just someday. With Mitchell at the center, Clark healthy again, and Boston continuing to grow, Indiana could become one of the most balanced and dangerous teams in the league. Stephanie White's declaration reverberated across the WNBA landscape like a quiet storm. When the Indiana Fever head coach named the team's #1 priority, many expected a familiar answer: Caitlin Clark, the generational rookie who has commanded headlines since her first professional dribble. But White's focus wasn't on the superstar who filled arenas and broke viewership records. Instead, her words revealed something deeper, more strategic, and profoundly human about how this Fever team plans to rise. Not through one name, but through balance, culture, and conviction. A shift in the spotlight. Stephanie White, herself a former Fever legend, knows what it means to build something that lasts. When asked about the team's next steps following a roller coaster season, her response surprised reporters. Our #1 priority right now isn't Caitlin. It's keeping this group healthy, confident, and connected. We can't build around one player, we have to build for all. It wasn't shade toward Clark, it was perspective. In a league dominated by narratives of individual brilliance, Aya Wilson's dominance, Brianna Stewart's consistency, Angel Reese's rise, White's focus cut through the noise. She was reminding everyone that winning basketball isn't about celebrity. It's about cohesion. The Fever's fragile foundation. The 2024 Indiana Fever season was as dramatic as any scripted series could be. A rookie phenom. Injuries to key players. Emotional highs and exhausting lows. Through it all, White juggled expectations that bordered on impossible, build a contender and manage the weight of Caitlin Clark's unprecedented popularity. But while Clark's highlights went viral, the foundation of the team quietly strained under the pressure. Aaliyah Boston, last year's Rookie of the Year, faced double teams and inconsistent offensive support. Veterans like Kelsey Mitchell battled through fatigue, while younger players like Nalissa Smith searched for rhythm. White saw what many didn't: the Fever's greatest need wasn't another scoring outburst. It was stability. Rewriting the playbook. When Stephanie White talks about priority, she isn't talking about stat sheets or endorsement deals. She's talking about infrastructure. Her off-season plan reportedly centers around 3 pillars: health, chemistry, and defensive consistency. First, health. Sophie Cunningham's late-season injury exposed the Fever's lack of depth at the wing. White wants to ensure that players can withstand the grind of an increasingly competitive league. Second, chemistry. Despite Clark's brilliance as a playmaker, there were visible growing pains between the rookies and veterans. The Fever's offensive sets often stalled not because of skill gaps, but because of timing and trust. White knows that connection, those invisible bonds between players, wins championships. And finally, defense. Indiana ranked near the bottom in defensive efficiency for much of the season. White, a defensive-minded coach, has already made it clear next year's Fever team won't just run, they'll lock in, leading beyond the box score. What makes White's stance so powerful is that it redefines leadership. In an era where athletes are often measured by metrics, White is prioritizing the immeasurable. Caitlin Clark is a once-in-a-generation scorer and a transcendent marketer for women's sports. But White's vision places equal importance on the players who dive for loose balls, make the extra pass, or bring energy from the bench. To her, the Fever's future lies in building a culture that can thrive with or without its star. She wants Clark's brilliance to enhance the system, not define it. It's a subtle yet profound shift from dependency to durability. The message to the locker room. Inside the Fever locker room, White's words reportedly landed with a mix of respect and relief. Several players, especially veterans, felt that the constant media attention around Clark sometimes overshadowed their own growth. White's declaration recentered the team. It reminded them that while Clark may be the face, they are the heartbeat. For players like Aaliyah Boston, this statement meant validation. For Sophie Cunningham, it meant opportunity. For the entire roster, it meant accountability, because when the priority becomes the team, no one gets to hide behind excuses. The Caitlin factor, handled gracefully. Ironically, by not making Clark the centerpiece of her message, White may have done the best thing for her young superstar. Clark, despite her composure, has carried immense pressure since draft night. Every performance, every comment, every headline gets dissected. By publicly shifting the narrative away from her, White is protecting her, allowing her to evolve without the suffocating expectation of instant greatness. And if there's one thing Clark has proven, it's that she thrives in systems where the load is shared.